Hello and welcome to another episode of the CollabTalk podcast. This show is dedicated to exploring how and why we collaborate, whether one-on-one, within small teams, or across an entire organization. And through conversations with experts, real-world stories, and practical insights, we break down what makes collaboration work or fail and how to improve it. And this week's episode is a little different. I'm off the road for a couple days. I'm glad. I'm a little bit tired still, getting ready for the next trip next week, and then I'm gone in the week following. But this was recorded earlier this week at the Comms v Next event in Denver, Colorado, and produced by friend and fellow Microsoft MVP Eric Marcy, who's the founder and principal solutions architect at Voltec Solutions. Eric recorded about a dozen or so podcast recordings over the 2 days of the conference. And if you're not familiar with Comms v Next, it is an annual event focused on Microsoft 365 and specifically Microsoft Teams and all of the unified communications tools and technologies and vendors and things around that space that support Teams. It's a great event. If you're in the space and want to attend next year or possibly sponsor it, just go to comms, so COMMS, vnext.com for more information. In this episode, recorded at the event earlier this week, we talked about something that I get a lot of questions about, a lot of interest in, the amount of content that I write, that I produce, the videos, the podcast, the web series, the blogs, and a lot of other vendor content that I generate. And I was interested in getting some different perspectives, some additional perspectives on the topic, which is the future of content creation with AI. And so my guests are good friends and also fellow MVPs, Shari Oswald from Power Up Learning and Sharon Weaver from Smart Consulting. Sharon and I also co-host a weekly webcast called the Project Failure Files every Monday morning. So in case project management and leadership development topics are of interest to you, you can, of course, find all of that out on my YouTube page. But hey, dial in every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific every week. But enough of my stalling. Here's this week's CollabTalk podcast episode recorded. The video's a bit choppy, but the audio is all solid, but from Comms v Next. So enjoy. All right. Hey, well, we're live at the big one here. The camera down at the end there. If everyone wants to wave, hello. Hey, this is Christian Buckley here for this episode of the CollabTalk podcast live, like we did last year at Comms v Next in Denver. So I'm sitting with Shari and Sharon. So quick introductions. Shari first.
Hi, I'm Shari Oswald. I am a Microsoft MVP, MCT, and they call me Shortcut Shari. So love to work with people and change their tech.
Hi, I'm Sharon Weaver, founder and CEO of Smarter Consulting. I am an RD, an MVP, an MCT, and I don't know, a whole bunch of other letters. Just hanging out.
Yeah. Well, this is a fun topic, and I know that this is something that we've talked about, we're thinking a lot about, so we're having other conversations about it, and I thought, content creation in the age of AI, like what are we doing today? What are we thinking about doing? And so maybe let's start this way. Again, we'll go around this circle here, but talk about, without getting into how you're building content, like what are the primary types of content that you're creating right now? So we give people a sense of what we're talking about.
Mine is all end user focused, and I am always trying to think of, how can I make training and learning more accessible? And the AI part of it has taken away.
We're not you're jumping ahead.
Okay.
So talking about, but it's training materials. So
training materials,
on demand as well as
posts,
right.
Yeah, and videos, because I do Shortcut Shari's tips and tricks, and I get stumped sometimes. Like I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to do a video about. Yeah.
I don't have that problem. We'll talk about that too. But yes.
Okay.
I think running a business, I do a lot of like Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, images, Excel spreadsheets, lots of Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. Well, I always say that now. I will say about like with the Copilot announcements, like the coolest demos were like the Excel, the business intelligence feature stuff, which were the most smoke and mirrors done with those initial demos that were shared by Microsoft that like there's still some of what they showed us 2 years ago that isn't actually in the product.
It's like
yet,
the kitchen
but-
show where they have the pre-baked cookies,
Right.
and they're like, "We're gonna make all these cookies," and then they're like, "Look how wonderful they look."
Yeah.
From
after,
Costco.
after they come out of the oven, supposedly come out of the oven 45 minutes later, but they cooked them like 3 days before.
Well, that's like for the content I do. So blogging, my writing is number one. I love writing. It was my, my minor, creative writing in college, and just absolutely love that side of it. The storytelling aspect of that, being, so long an evangelist, a tech evangelist for that, and the storytelling side of that is, it's creating all the different assets. So, I started writing, my first official tech writing job was working for the company that owned, C&K Systems, owned ADT Alarms. And I was writing manuals for the hardware, for the components. So making it fit into the packaging, like all that, with it, to walk it through in intelligence. So to try and take something that's very complex and to make it so that anybody could read it and follow that along. And that kind of instilled into me, then becoming a business analyst and project manager, taking complex things and say, how do I break this down so that it's more consumable, it's more, readable.
Kind of like the IKEA instruction manual that's just, here's a picture, don't, the hammer, and
Right.
highlighting the letters, here's what you need to be. These are the
Probably not
components
the
you
best example, because the IKEA was, was like, why do I have all these extra parts, and why did this not work and go together like the picture? And no, but creating that kind of content. So it's same thing, blog posts, presentations. We're here at a conference. We've all given sessions. So PowerPoint things are out there. Video content, a lot of video content. The podcast, we've both of you have been on this podcast before, other episodes.
Yep.
So there's a lot of content that's out there. So,
I think the biggest thing is creating content for every audience, because not everybody listens to podcasts, not everybody watches videos, not everybody goes to blog posts or surfs the web, looks for content, and you have to make it multimodal, so anybody can consume it the way they want to consume it.
I'm amazed at how many companies or how many content creators that are out there, companies in B2B world that we live in, a lot of it, where they don't think about that multimodal. They aren't thinking about the different learning styles. Some people prefer to read. Some people we were talking about the squirrel attention span of the younger generations. But, so video content that's short bits, cutting that up. Some want the long play version of that. Other people need to be able to test it, get their hands dirty, work with the technology or whatever it is. But companies that go out and say, well, we produced this and we published that out there and it just never really got any hits. Like, well, what else? What variants did you create? What other formats? What modes?
And where did you publish them?
Right.
Because that matters too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how do you think about that with everything that you create?
I do now. It's like, how can I break this up? We just had this conversation of, is this one big long blog post? I have a really fun series I want to do, but it's way too long to be one thing. But I'm also looking at how can I present this content in different ways? And is it consumable and stand alone? Can this one piece stand alone if that's all they got? Is this going to be enough for them? Or is it a teaser to something that's bigger? Maybe that's the objective. So I'm, bring you in and let me show you the rest of it. But you've got to get their interest first in the space that they are looking or normally go to.
Yeah, it was really interesting as my content has moved to more functional content. And so while I do still do, more
As opposed to dysfunctional content?
As opposed to published content,
Yeah,
right? So we think
right.
about published content like blog posts and videos and even marketing materials. And I'm finding more and more and more that I'm doing more like, I can compete with your blog post count on emails.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't think about emails as content, but truthfully, anything that you're using to communicate information or ideas to people ends up being content. And I would say that I spend a significant amount of time writing emails or Teams messages that are explaining things, and then I'm attaching Word documents or PowerPoints or something to those on a pretty regular basis. And so that's turning into a heavy part of my content world as well.
Well, and I'm very grateful for your newsletter that you send out like once a month, because I'm like, oh, all the stuff I didn't have time to pay attention to this month, Sharon just packaged it all up for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's something that, well, and both of you know that I do, like on my blog, I do, I've started this like a decade ago, a monthly wrap up. And I try to, have fun with it and take like at this conference, it'll likely be on the front page, some group shot or something that I'll put as the monthly
Selfie
wrap
king.
up. Yeah. But that started just because I needed to have like an extension to my brain for the memory reserves of what did I do the last month. And so now, I mean, it's funny, post-pandemic. And
Like,
just,
what didn't you do in the last month?
and the season in life that I am, it's like I forget, like, oh yeah, that conference was the first week of last month. It seems like it was last year. No, that was 4 weeks ago. So it's great to have that for my recall of, I go through catalog everything that I did, every article, every video, every podcast, every interview, whatever those things are, compile it all. It's not a, hey, ring my own bell, come look at me. It's not what it's for.
It's
Totally.
lack of sleep.
Totally.
It is.
Yeah.
Come look at me. But it really is just so I have that archive of what did I go, what did I do there. And so then it's been helpful when people go and say, like, if I think about a different channel, different place where that content could or should be, like, what do I have? Like, all right, well, hey, there's the blog post.
Yeah.
I also did a video for it. I forgot I did that, and it's
You have an entire inventory
Right.
of content, and you know what you've got where.
right.
And that's timely, because we've all gone through that, where we've had to peruse everything that we've done in the last year and make it concise and submit it recently.
Right.
And I struggled with that. And then after I submit, I'm like, oh yeah, I did that podcast with Christian. And, so having that, some kind of roll up is important, I think.
Well, so I'm interested to know, I mean, with all of the AI stuff that's out there, like what stood out to you about on this topic of content creation? Like whether you're using it or not, like what are the things which have are changing the way that you're thinking about or currently creating content?
I'm always excited about new tech, but I'm always a little leery, and I'm a control freak. So I had a self-parking car for 3.5 years. That thing never parked itself because I'm a control freak. But what I have found, just like with Teams, I didn't really jump in the pool because I was really, 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 really good at Outlook. And don't make me go to somewhere else to do this. But now I get it. And that's how I'm starting to get with the AI. I'm not so afraid of Skynet anymore being live. I'm like, all right,
I
it saved my
embraced-
bacon a few weeks ago.
I
Copilot did.
embraced Teams instantly. I got it. It fit. It
Same.
was, yeah. So all over.
I'm like, take all of my mind and make
Right.
all the things for me. Just like, let's do it.
Well, I always look at it from the end user perspective of, is this going to make things easier or harder for people? Or how confusing is it going to be? Or, now we've got 3 places to go. And then they threw Yammer in the pool, which is now Viva Engage. And, so I'm a little hesitant, but I'm recently in the pool for sure. And what I kind of talking about in our session yesterday, if it gets you 70% of the way there, it just saved you 70% of time. And as busy as all of us are in spurts especially, that little 70% here and there is huge for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, so we talk about a lot of different tools. Like I've shared one. You've all heard me. So I was introduced to this at TechCon 365 in Dallas last October. So somebody who was in my workshop on governance and came up and shared a good guy. I've talked to him a couple times about possibly becoming following the MVP track and stuff. We were talking about this product called Turbolearn.ai. So here's one. This is an example. Point people to. Developed by 2 university students. There's got to be a better way for note taking. And I know that there's other tools that are out there. And technically, I guess you could use Copilot and just record. But what it does out of the box is, so if you're in a session, be aware if you're trying to take notes, if it's an NDA thing, or if it's paid content, if it's not open to the public out there, you shouldn't be recording that, technically. But you can sit there and record it via the phone, and it does a full transcript of that discussion. That's one output. It summarizes that transcript, and it's really good at it. Of course, hallucination is a real thing. Trust but verify the content that it pulled together.
Always.
But it does a great job of organizing that in very complex conversation with multiple people and audience members asking questions. Like, it organizes all of that. It also creates quiz cards, test questions on the content because it was created by students, all that kind of stuff. But I'm finding I'm using this almost every day because you can also, in the browser version, drag YouTube videos in. So I see like long play videos. I'm like, I don't have time. I've been putting this off.
I put it on 2 times the speed, and they're like,
I do that too, but then I'm distracted by other things that I'm trying to do. And so I find, again, I'm better reading some of that content than I am watching the long videos.
because you can skim, you can visually skim.
Right. And I can focus in, like, what do I need to know here? I can drag a YouTube video in, and it will do all of that for a video. So I'm using that with my own content. I'm doing podcast episodes where I'm interviewing the person. I'm recording it over on the side as well as through the tools. I use Streamyard. I capture it that way. I'm also using Turbolearn.ai by the speaker. And it gives me a summary, which gives me a healthy jumpstart into then the blog post for the podcast. It's just, it's improving the speed at which I can create the content.
If they're live, you have to let them know they're being recorded, though. If like you're in a
We're
session.
doing
We're
a
supposed-
podcast.
yeah.
No. I'm just saying if you're in if you were to attend a session today at Comms VNext where we are.
Well, this is a paid event, so I would say that you have to ask permission there.
Yeah.
If I'm watching a person who's
You can't just turn your
lecturing-
phone on under the table, and that's not
Right.
cool. I just wanted to
Right.
put that out
Yeah,
there.
it's not cool.
And highly illegal. Yeah.
If it's a public place, anyway. There's some gray areas,
Letting
around
people
that.
know that you're recording them.
Yes, just is always the
definitely
crazy.
preferred.
Rule of thumb, and
I don't always release my slides either. It's kind of the same
Right.
thing. It's like, this is proprietary stuff that I plan on building into other things. I'm going to take this and make it a blog post or whatever. So I don't want to necessarily give away my slides.
what's kind of a sideways topic too is that I know there's some speakers, Sue Hanley, good friend of all of ours too, that really said that it's like, look, I have this content, like I go out and consult for it, or I'm doing these events that it's part of for the event. But if you're not at the events, like I do not publish my slides,
Yeah.
because that's the privilege of come to the conference that with a paid conference to do it. I'm not giving out that content free.
Well, and I've kind of adopted her philosophy because she puts one picture up and talks to it for 5 minutes instead of putting all of her bullet points. So since she's really not giving up the ghost, you have to
Yeah.
remember what she was talking about with that picture.
Do you do that, Sharon? Do you
I
like
do that.
minimal thing? So
Yeah.
I do that.
again, being
She's
a
my
written word,
muse. She's my
so
inspiration.
I have a problem with that. Like where I do I create my slides with in mind, like I want people to be able to download this and have all the information they need.
I do talking points and like public links and references so that people can find them later. I make my presentations so that they are referenceable, but I don't put all my IP into
Right.
the
Right.
deck. So it's kind of like a mixed thing.
Yeah.
So
Don't get all my corny jokes in the slide notes. I'm just saying.
But speaking of like all those cool things that we can do now in content, is that I find that for these AI tools, I'm kind of dividing into 2 different camps. I've got the personal things that I do for me, kind of like for fun and to enjoy it. And part of it is like you guys, I like new tech, so I like trying out new things. And then I see where can it fit into my life, especially into my work life. And I really have found that I use Copilot day to day in generating Word docs, generating PowerPoint presentations, helping with
Help with
Excel,
clean up emails, stuff. It's
yes,
fantastic.
writing emails, things like that. So Copilot's been great for those day-to-day functional tasks. But then we get on the personal side, and you're saying, the Turbolearn is really cool. I definitely use ChatGPT for a lot of fun things. It helps me just like process, and it can create great images, and you can kind of do some neat things with it. But there's a lot of other fun new tools that are really out there that I'm really, really
Created your action figure yet?
yes.
Just mine, I can't get it to look like me.
Really?
You don't know what we're talking about. It's like there's this
Did you
thing
upload
going
a
on.
photo?
Yeah.
I did.
There's a whole prompt that it creates
Right.
a little like suction package.
Like it's an
plastic
action
package,
figure.
Action
Yeah, it's
Right,
an
it's an action figure.
Yeah.
And it looks, some of them look so good. I can't get mine to look like
Zoe Wilson's is straight on, and
Oh, I know.
Sarah Fennes was straight on,
Yeah.
even with her lanyard and everything. I'm trying to figure out how they got that detailed.
Yeah. I did one for my in-laws.
It's all about prompts, Sherry. It's all about prompts.
I know.
But it looked exactly like my mother-in-law, but didn't look like my father-in-law. And I just Kevin was like, Jim, you're just too generic looking. So sorry. But no, I mean, there's a lot of great, other tools. Yeah, I mean, constantly playing with. I'm looking at, like, I'm using Streamyard, which is twice as expensive as the two fully functional competitors, but it does some stuff that is, I mean, it's still a bargain because of all the other stuff it does. But I'm always looking at those new tools. I'm always looking at, we were talking about Audiate. Explain for folks that don't know what Audiate is.
Oh, I'm a TechSmith junkie, I have to admit. So Audiate saves my life. What used to take me an hour to edit takes me about 10 minutes.
Let's say first, like so TechSmith, so I'm a Camtasia guy for all my video
Yeah.
editing, like a long time. I love Camtasia. I was just,
Snagit. Love Snagit.
I love
Yeah, all
Snagit
about
and stuff.
Snagit.
Right. So Snagit, Camtasia, and Audiate. Like I was just trying to hear from my laptop, trying to do a Microsoft video, so Clipchamp editing the video. Very frustrated by the lack of features. It's just a simple tool
Yeah.
compared to what I have in the setup.
It's part of a suite, and it's not what they do. With TechSmith, it's what they do. So
Right.
they're going to be better, right?
So, but anyway, so they have this product called Audiate.
Yes. So Audiate, it goes through your video, and it does text transcription of that, and you actually edit the video. So in my old process, I'd have to listen. It's like, oh, I messed up, and go back and delete, and then list. Oh no, I messed up again. Blah blah blah. So you're constantly going back and forth in the video, listening to it over and over and over again. It would take me over an hour to do maybe a 3 to 5 minute video as an end product. And
Sherry,
using
why
text.
don't you just do it right the first time and not mess up?
I know, because, I'm so perfect. And it depends on how much coffee I've had or how long I've already been talking. But being able to edit from the text, and you have, from working at LinkedIn Learning, they train you. They're like, you have a phrase, so it's always rephrase. So I always look for a rephrase, and then I edit backwards, because I know everything before rephrase was garbage until I see the same phrase again, and I'm like, okay, this is all trash, and then it edits the video and syncs it back into Camtasia, so there's no more of that.
So you have no idea that you removed 30 seconds
Yeah.
in the video. The AI smooths it over.
Yep.
So you can edit the text for a video, and then it fills it in. Or if you got a word wrong, you can type the new word in, and it will morph it, make it look like you said that word.
Yep. Yeah,
Can
and
you
then
do
it
whole
also takes
sentence?
out the ums and the uhs, and,
yeah.
yeah, you can actually insert an entire script, and it will. The voice is a little weird because it's not your voice. But if like you've noticed that if you ever watch a TV like Survivor, there'll be one little dub over, and you're like, that was not live. That wasn't live. But
There was an expletive there. I know. That's usually what that is.
that's with all the little special characters overriding that. But yeah, it's absolutely an amazing tool. And I just recently did a completely AI generated. So now you can have voices and avatars. I had ChatGPT create the script for me. I brought it in. I said, I want this person to say this, I want this person to say this, and gave them a voice and an avatar, and it did a whole Teams meeting kind of simulation. It's a little creepy. You can tell it's AI.
Yeah.
But, that would have taken, I would have had, hey, Sharon, Christian, I want to do this fake meeting. Having to coordinate with somebody wouldn't have been helpful. Yeah. So just for something that was for a demonstration that I needed to do for my session, it was really, really helpful to be able to do that and have it be an actual video.
Yeah, no, Sharon, I know because you just showed us like the latest thing around it. So talk about some of what you've been experimenting with.
Yeah, so there's this new tool called it's called HeyGen, which is similar to Audiate. But the cool thing about HeyGen is that you can do a voice profile, you can do an avatar profile, and you can have different looks, and essentially you can create a digital clone of yourself, and then you can feed it a transcript, and it will deliver whatever content it is that you've created for it. And much like Audiate, you don't really know that it's a transcript based. You think it's a live person. And I mean, I think you have to be careful. This is, we start talking about AI ethics and responsibilities around
Audiate's
this type of
going
stuff.
there, but they're trying to get all the security in place to make sure that you can't take my voice or my avatar and then imitate me somehow to.
But I do think it's super cool that, especially for people like us, like you said, we're super busy. I don't often have time to sit down and do a bazillion recordings, especially if I make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so this allows me to potentially do things that maybe I'm going to have to do a lot of, but they're very short, they're very quick, they're very easy to update with the transcript. I think it's going to make a big difference in some of that time.
Yeah.
I love that it also scrubs out the ums, the uhs, and I have this thing where I talk, and I go, I hate that. I hate listening to that back. And it takes all those out.
So I know with all these tools, and you kind of mentioned briefly on you said the word ethics, so now we're going to talk about that aspect of it. This is an important question so I was in an argument with somebody around marketing and advertising.
Argument or an avid discussion?
It was their position. So yeah, I would say it was just a very passionate discussion around the technologies, but around the ethics of do you care that an article that you're reading was generated like 2/3 of it or more by AI, or does it have to be 100% written by a human for it to be good quality content? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, first of all, I don't care any more than if you use a calculator to do your math than if you write it by hand.
Correct, right.
This is where you have to get into deep conversations about where did the content come from, how was it sourced, was the engine, how is the engine, modeled so that is it capable of copying other people's work? Right. Are we able to go back and trace where that information came from, that type of thing? Versus, is it originally generated content? And if it's originally generated content, frankly, at the end of the day, as long as I get what I need out of it, I really don't care as long as it's ethically sourced, right?
Yeah.
And then it's I
just like the salmon we had for dinner, ethically sourced. Yeah.
So taking that content and copying and pasting it, I don't have, and you can tell when that happens.
Yes.
But you've got to add the nuances, the personality, and the whole trust but verify. Not just trust, but expound on it. Put more into it than just what was spit out for you. But again, if it gets me 70% of the way there and I just have to add my nuances, my knowledge, and my personality into it, then I get more done. And we were talking earlier about keeping up with the speed of tech. As fast as tech is getting out there and changing, trying to keep up with it is almost impossible. And people are like, why don't you train this? Why don't you train that? I'm like, I don't have time to learn all that. I can't even keep up with the stuff that I do care about.
Well, one of the things and this kind of answers it, what my thoughts on the content I'm creating and the ethical usage of that content. Because again, what's it trained on? What's it pulling from? And how we use those tools. And that's what I want to talk about next, like how to properly use and how we're using those. But one of the things I was so excited about with the web versus the on-prem or the enterprise, within behind the firewall use of technology. So like Copilot was going and creating, accessing and training on my content for my usage. So everything I write, there's a copy of it that's in OneNote and has been for the last 20 years. And so I've got backups upon backups of that stuff.
OneNote
so I have
for
that
the
history.
win.
And of course, and there's my blog itself. So I was actually going to build an agent that is trained on my OneNote data and my blog posts. So what's public out there and all of my private writings. So then when I ask it questions, it's coming from my body of knowledge. So, I almost want to have we were joking last night about how, AI interface, Copilot, you need to be able to build and have the max headroom. Hey kids, max headroom, look it up. But the max headroom interface.
We're of an age.
Yeah, we're of an age. Max headroom, interface for it that you can talk to. I almost want that with me. I want a little Android version of me so I can have me answering back when I'm asking questions on my own knowledge. But then
you're not just a sticker
Agent
anymore.
Christian.
But that's one.
Now he's an interactive agent.
Exactly.
That's right. It's going to cost you, but yeah. No, but that's one. There's a price on that for that. We're looking at how do you monetize that.
Copilot.
That's right. But being able to go, like when I write an article on something, one of the first places that I always look is I go do a search within my own content. Like, have I written about this? What have I said about it? Has I taken notes on this before? And I will go capture that. And I'll often, and it sounds really pretentious, but I'll look at it, like, I'll find something that I, in a blog post that I forgot about, that I wrote 5 years ago on this topic, or I'm like, that's really good.
I did that.
I completely forgot about that thing, whatever.
Wow.
But then I'll go and plagiarize from myself and pull stuff and reuse for that. And so part of what
it's refreshing.
Well,
refreshing
If it's your
that
own
content.
content.
right.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing, is that
Your own ethically sourced content.
one of the mistakes that people make, and I advise clients on this, is that they don't do enough with the content they've already created.
Yeah.
And so you think about it, like when I go and I do an ebook or a white paper for a client, I do a research-based project. It's original work around that. And I, as you know, like I partnered with the Marriott Business School at Brigham Young University. I've got my Brigham Young Loves Teams t-shirt on today. She's doing a hang loose. So I partnered with the Marriott School and did a number of research projects for companies that wanted to have this in-depth, real research in with all the sources, all this raw material that they could then, what very few of those clients did. Like I did the research with the research team, put together with the results, all the raw data, did a white paper that they put their brands and stuff on, and then they never did anything else with it. I'm like, you paid for all of this content. You didn't go write blog series off it. You had the original white paper. You could have written a dozen different other ebooks and white papers off of different insights from that. You did nothing with it. And I don't get it. But that's one way that I'm leveraging AI now, where I can put source material in there, like look at all this content and say, what are different ideas for output? And it will generate, you could do this on this, you could do this. Blog posts, ebooks, video ideas for it. So it goes back to what I said at the beginning. Like people that come and say, like, I don't know what to go and write about. I don't know what to go and create about. It's like, that's the number one use case for leveraging AI, is say, here's my expertise. This is what I want to do. Give me some ideas of things that I can go and do. And it produces this long list. And you say, give me 20 ideas for blog posts. I'm an expert in this or whatever. And you'll look through it and be like, no, ooh. You'll find stuff within that, more like this one.
I want to go back through the AMAs because I'm like, this needs to be a blog post. This needs to be a blog post. This needs to be that's what I would love to do.
So,
There you go, Christian. You have like unlimited potential.
That was the purpose of it. So I run these AMA sessions. So ask me anything. It's Microsoft 365 AMA. So M365 AMA. You can
hashtag. It's a hashtag.
Yeah, it's a hashtag. It's out there. Soon to be a website with all this. We've answered over 500 questions. And so there's a group, and Shari and Sharon have both participated in these. So a lot of them that are out there.
Little disclaimer, there's a little banter that goes on too. It's not all just information.
No, and we talk about it. A lot of people, it's like, well, you didn't walk through the solution. It's like, no, we answered the question that was, there are community questions that we answer. I look at, like, what I was trying to do was create an opportunity to bring experts together to answer these questions from different perspectives, and we do that.
Yeah. Maybe it takes 2 minutes.
Most of the time we
Most
answer
of the time
them.
together. Yeah.
Or we say it depends.
Right. And so we say, like, why, like, what's the background? Why are they asking this question? What are the different reasons why they might be experiencing this technical issue? We don't then walk through the technical issue. We almost always answer the question, like, right, no, this is why this isn't working, you need to go do this. But we don't do a walkthrough. My vision for this was that then the people that participated in that discussion, one of them would go and then write the blog post that walks through step by step how to do that. We do provide links.
If they're available. If we find them.
Things are out there.
Yeah.
But
sometimes it's just Hal, and he's been around forever, and he pulls it out of the Hal archives in his brain. I don't know where he comes up with it, but he's brilliant.
I think I have a lot of notes where Christian said, "Hey Sharon, that'd make a great blog post."
Yeah,
I
I have
I
a
wrote
lot
it
of
down
little
somewhere.
sticky notes somewhere
do
that
say
say
that a
that.
lot.
Yeah.
but that's something that is again, you leveraging AI to go in and take your complex content and say, hey, what are the other ideas? So if you are stuck, if you're stuck, you should be able to get ideas for this to go and generate more content.
Yeah, I definitely, I can honestly say that I use AI for helping me with ideas of things to do, catching me up on information, and refreshing my own content. So I'm doing a presentation this afternoon on where AI is headed, and I've given this presentation several times. So what's really fun is I had AI help me make the presentation. Every single time I deliver the presentation, I simply go in and ask AI, can you please update this to the most current piece of information based on what you know, and then I can then go through and refresh that same content. But it gives me, oh, hey, you should probably know this, and did you even know about this? And I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't know about that, but now I can talk about it.
Yep.
I want to go rewrite a bunch of stuff because I want to be the new crabby office lady. Do y'all remember the crabby office lady from the 90s? Oh, you got to go look her up because it's like I want to be because sarcasm is my first language always, and she takes a little spin on things with at that time it was Microsoft Office, and I want to be the new crabby office lady.
Well, I was just thinking too of like even with the AMAs for any of the content, if you're creating content for your company, is when customers ask questions about that. You say, hey, I wrote this long article. If somebody then asks a question or a technical question where I thought I explained it within that, you could even load up, train it on the article, whatever, post a question around it, and have it provide an answer based on your content. And then you might look at that and say, oh, you know what? I didn't fully explain this. I might expound on that.
I've taken the transcripts from my video and Audiate, taken it over to Copilot and said, summarize this and organize it, and then created a blog post that refers back to the video.
Right.
That's been really helpful too because it's my content. I was speaking, were my ideas, but I just don't want to take the time to take that video and convert it into a different form.
Well, it's one of the things we were talking too about. I want to do more shorts and that kind of stuff. And one of the things, and I'm just like the time to go in and edit and find those nuggets and things. And sometimes I know exactly where it is because I'll take notes down during the conversation or something. But the time it takes to go and find those and create those, you could take the entire transcript and say, hey, where was there a great conversation or in different themes, whatever. Find 10 examples where make a nice less than 1 minute or less than 2 minute video short, and then find that and then search, and it makes editing easier to go find those opportunities.
Well, even with Stream, when you bring it into Stream and then you have Copilot go summarize, it puts the timestamps in there. And you can kind of tell, this was at 2:05, this was at 4:10 or something. You're like, that's about 2 minutes. That could be a snippet.
Well, you just pointed out something that I use AI for is that so I've been trying to get better at YouTube and all the SEO around it. I really only started focusing on improving my YouTube, my channel, like in November last year.
Yeah.
I would just use it as a utility. It's just the place where my videos were hosted. Now I'm going through and building all this stuff out. So I will use AI to summarize, to create the timestamp of the major topics, of
table of contents.
All of that. So I use it heavily, all the SEO stuff, so hashtags and keywords that are relevant out of that. And so it took something that was painful to do and has sped that up dramatically.
I want to be you when I grow up. I don't know how you have time for all this stuff.
I don't know either. So.
Except for the fact that you and I are usually up at 2 o'clock in the morning together sometimes. Are you awake?
Who goes to bed before 2 a.m.
Exactly.
and then gets
Me. I go to bed before 2 a.m.
Yeah, she's in bed for like 8:30.
Well, hey, I know this is an ongoing topic. There's a lot that we could go into, a lot of favorite tools and things. I'll have to build out kind of a link list. I'm planning on doing a series
I bet you AI
of blog
can do
posts.
that for you.
But I'm planning to do a blog series on the hardware, the technical aspects of the tools, software, and hardware that I'm using. So thinking about making even that like a weekly post that I do. But
they want me to do travel tips. I have more people saying, you have so many travel tips. So you can do your tech tips. And
people love that kind of content.
Tech and travel.
Yep.
Yeah. So lot of things, a lot of ideas. If you feel like you're stymied, you're stuck, and don't know what to create content about,
just go
drop me a
pilfer
note.
stuff off of Christian's blog.
I was going to say, drop me a note. I can give you some suggestions of things how to get better at creating ideas, generating ideas.
Yeah.
So mine is not a shortage of ideas. That's not where I get stuck. It's the time to go and do a lot of the stuff.
So what was the record? I know you and Tracy, Tracy did.
So Tracy Vanderskiff, good friend from South Africa, fellow MVP. She did daily blog posts for 2 years. So my goal originally was 2 years and 1 week.
So you
I could hold that over and laud that over Tracy. Then she mentioned that she was going to start up again and try to go even longer. So I've now been officially, what's the date today? Is the
April
16th? 17th?
Yeah.
16.
16th. 3 years, 7 months, 16
Happy birthday,
days
Brett. My brother's
Just
birthday.
wow.
that I've been daily blog posts, plus the work stuff, all the other stuff. So it's a lot. I know it's a lot.
It is
but,
a lot.
you know,
You are a lot.
But I have to stay. I can't let them. I can't let them win. No, I'm a delicate flower. Come on. But anyway, thank
He's
you.
a little competitive too, just a little bit.
Just a little.
Thank you both for being on the CollabTalk podcast. Thanks everybody for watching, listening in, and we'll see you again. We'll do this again next year at
Yeah.
CommsV next year in Denver.
Same bat time, same bat station.
See you later.
Bye.
You've been listening to the CollabTalk podcast. New episodes are published weekly, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and most other podcast platforms. Thanks for listening.